Okay, today we're going to practice finding the area of a circle. So let's start with our formula. All right, the area of a circle equals the product, which means what? Product. Means multiply. The product of pi and the square of its radius. So area equals pi r squared. And remember, when we have variables right up against each other, that means multiply. So as we find the area, we'll continue to use this formula, and when we use pi, we'll use the estimate of pi, which is 3.14. Alright, so in example 1, we're going to find the area of the circle. Bless you. Alright, so we have a circle with a radius of 2. My recommendation is you write down the formula every time you have a problem, so that you will start to memorize the formula. As you get older and you're taking math tests, a lot of times the formulas will not be provided for you. So you'll have to remember this formula just like we had to memorize the formulas for the area of a rectangle, area of the trapezoid, area of the triangle. Now we need to know the formula to find the area of the circle. So we rewrite it. Area equals pi r squared, and now it's time to plug in everything for the variable. So pi is 3.14, and we'll multiply that by the radius, which is 2, but the radius needs to be squared. So when we follow order of operations, we'll need to do the exponent first. Alright, so 2 squared means 2 times 2, which is 4. And then in my calculator, I'll type 3.14 times 4, and I'll get 12.56, 12 and 56 hundredths. Okay, so this next problem says find the area of a circle with a radius of 3.2 centimeters and round to the nearest tenth. So we write our formula. Area equals pi r squared. And now we'll plug in what we know. Pi is 3.14. Radius, it says, is 3.2. And that 3.2 will need to be squared. Remember, when we square an item, you just are multiplying that item by itself. So to find this, we would multiply 3.2 times 3.2. We'll get 10 and 24 hundredths. And then we'll multiply 10 and 24 hundredths times 3.14. We'll get 32.1536. It says to round to the nearest tenth. Here's the tenth place, right past the decimal. So we look at the 5. The 5 will round that 1 up. So rounding to the nearest tenth, 32 and 2/10. And we'll say centimeters squared. Because remember, that's all the space inside the circle. And so we'll square it, just like we did when we found the area of the rectangle, triangle, and trapezoid. So in example 2, we're still finding area, but this time, instead of giving us the radius, they're going to give us the diameter. Find the area of a circle with a diameter of 24 millimeters. Okay, our formula though is area equals pi r squared. So I can't use 24 in for r. But what did we learn yesterday about the relationship between a radius and a diameter, Erica?
The radius is half of the diameter.
Good. So I'll take my diameter and see what the radius would be. So for the radius of that circle, we would take the diameter and divide it by 2 because it's half of the diameter. And so the radius would be 12. So now I can plug this in. 3.14. And now the radius is 12, and I will square that radius. Okay, how do I square 12? What will I multiply?
12 times 12.
Jay?
12 times 12.
All right, so 12 times 12 is?
144.
And now in my calculator, I'll multiply 144 by 3.14. And I'll get 452 and 1600ths, and that is millimeters squared. The other type of problem you might have today will be with semicircles. Well, glad you asked. A semicircle is half of a circle. So the formula for the area of a semicircle is area equals 1/2 pi r squared. Now, do you think we really have to memorize a whole new formula on the semicircle, or what's the shortcut? If a semicircle is half of a circle, Lily, what can we do?
You could just use the regular formula and then just divide your answer by 2.
There you go.
There you go.
Which, that's what this 1/2 does in front of the formula. It divides everything by 2.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it like what we did before with triangles and stuff?
It is sort of like that, since the triangle is half of a rectangle. That's a good connection. All right, so the last example, we'll have a semicircle. So on example 4, we're going to find the area of a semicircle. So just this half of the circle. So area equals 1/2 pi r squared. But again, it did not give us a radius, it gave us the diameter. So if the diameter equals 16, the radius will equal, Hannah?
Oh, I have a question.
What, do you know what the radius will equal? The diameter is 16, the radius will equal
2 times 8?
the other way, 8, very good. Alright, so now that we know the radius is 8, we can plug it in. What's your question?
I actually the comment.
Okay.
I always put a line on the bottom and then the half on the top.
Okay. Alright, so 8 squared will be 8 times 8. And then we'll take half of 296 hundredths to get 148 hundredths. All right, last practice one. So we're finding the area of a semicircle with a radius of 6. So we write the formula. 1/2 pi r squared. Pi is 3.14. Radius is 6. We will square it. 6 squared is 6 times 6. And then we'll divide that by 2. We'll get 56 and 52 hundredths. And that's going to be centimeters squared. The reason why I didn't put it up here is because in our problem it didn't give us measurements. But they gave us the centimeters here, so we go ahead and include those measurements.